Hello, boys and girls. Thank you for virtually joining the Dixon today. My name's Kim Jameson, and I am the floral designer at the Dixon. I'm going to teach you today how to make a flower arrangement from greenery and flowers in your own backyard. Does that sound like fun? I'm going to take you back to my backyard and show you how to cut the flowers and greenery. All right? So let's go to my backyard now. So we're in my backyard now, and I looked around to figure out what the best greenery is to use for this today, and I've got some privet in the backyard that's blooming, so I thought I would use this. And when you make a cut here, you're going to cut all the way to the base of the other stem, just like that. And I'm going to cut 10 of these to use for our flower arrangement. Now we're going to cut some flowers to put in our arrangement. In my backyard, I have this beautiful columbine that I'm going to cut to add to our arrangement. You're going to need about 10 to 15 stems. I've already cut some, but I wanted to show you how to cut the stems as well. So what I'm going to use are my flower snips. It's best to use flower snips if you have them because they give a nice clean cut. If you have to use scissors, you can, but always opt for flower snips if you can get them. And I'm going to take my snips and cut the stem as low as I can cut it. Being careful not to cut any other stems. So now we're going to take a vase that we like, make sure it's clean, and fill it with water. We're going to take our greenery and our flowers that we just cut, and we're going to clean any foliage that's going to go below this vase line right here, because we don't want to get any greenery in the water. Because if we get greenery in the water, it causes bacteria to grow. It also makes the water look very murky. And the bacteria will then clog up the stems of the flowers. It'll cause the flowers to wither more quickly. So we want to avoid that. So what you're going to do is you take your greenery like this, and you're going to strip the foliage off of the stem, just like that, so you have a nice clean stem. And you're going to do that with your flowers too. You're going to grab every single stem one by one, and very carefully pull off any greenery that might go below the vase line and get greenery inside the vase, because that's a big no-no when you do flowers. Then we're going to start with the greenery. We're going to add all of the greenery in first, and the trick is you're going to crisscross the stems, and you're just going to have to see me do a few stems before you really understand what I mean by crisscross these stems. But I'm going to go at different angles like this, and depending on the length I'd like the stem to be, I may have to cut a little bit more greenery like that, strip a little bit more greenery, and you'll be able to see pretty soon I'm putting every stem through the center point. I always say have an imaginary center point in the middle of the vase, and you want your stems to go through that imaginary center point. So you see how the stems are going to start crisscrossing like this. Can you see what I'm doing here with the crisscross? And what you're doing by crisscrossing the stems is you're creating this strong weave, a hold that will keep your flowers in place. Because making a flower arrangement, one of the hardest things about making a flower arrangement is keeping your flowers from moving around. You want your flowers to stay in place. So by doing this weaving with the greenery first, it's going to really help when you put the flowers in, because the flowers are going to stay where you put them. So I'm just still putting these stems in, one by one. Sometimes I need to pull a little bit more of the greenery off, so we don't want any of the greenery in the water. Go. And I'll tell you what, it takes just about as long to strip the greenery, the foliage from the flower and the stems of the greenery than it does to make the arrangement, so be patient with yourself. And can you see how I'm crisscrossing these stems? Just like that. And sometimes sometimes you're going to have some bends with your greenery. See how it bends? I'm going to use that bend and take it to the side of the arrangement. You kind of want to work with the stems of the bends in the stems of your foliage and your flowers. Well, that looks pretty full. What do you all think? I think we're ready to add some of our flowers to this now. And the cool thing about this, see how it's all together like this? It keeps the flowers together when you crisscross it like that. So now I'm going to put these columbine in. And the trick with placing flowers is to make sure every stem has its own space. You don't want to crowd the flowers together. It's nice to put the flowers at different levels. Put some in shorter, put some in taller. And spread them around. Most times when I make flower arrangements, I make them so they're all the way around, so people can see them from all four sides. It's up to you if you want to make yours all the way around, or if you would like to make it more of a three-sided arrangement. It really depends on where you put the flower arrangement, of how you place your flowers. But for this, I'm going to make it so the flowers go all the way around. If you don't have as many flowers to work with, sometimes you need to make it where you can't see it all the way around. So it just depends. And then when you make the flower arrangement, every once in a while, turn it so you can see it from a different angle. What do you all think about this? I'm just about done. So, I think it's looking pretty full. You know, I started in the flower business when I was 13 years old. I wasn't a designer when I was 13, but I started working in a flower shop. And I never stopped working with flowers. It's something that I love to do. It's something that if you learn how to do, it's a trade that you can keep with you forever. So I encourage you to step to your backyard and cut some flowers and greenery and make something special for your home.